Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into one of the most brilliant, sophisticated, and, frankly, ruthless systems in the natural world. Picture your body as a highly organized medieval fortress. Literally every single second of every day, invisible invaders are out there trying to breach your walls, scale your defenses, and take over the whole shebang. But your body? It doesn't just sit there taking it. It fights back with the ultimate defense strategy. So we're going to map out exactly how that fortress operates, starting from the physical moats on the outside, all the way to the specialized assassins waiting in the shadows.
Here's how we're breaking it down today. First, we'll meet your immune system. Then, look at the first line of defense, followed by the specialized counterattack. After that, we'll compare active versus passive protection, and finally, zoom out to protecting the community. As you'll see, this agenda maps our journey perfectly, taking us from the initial physical moats of our individual fortress all the way out to a community-wide alliance.
Section 1. Meet your immune system, the biological defense system of an organism. Okay, let's dive into this. By establishing our baseline anchor, what exactly does immunity mean in the biological world? Simply put, it's the state or quality of being immune. It's that comprehensive biological defense system that represents your host resistance against foreign antigens, microbial invasions, and cellular injury. Think about it. This structural hierarchy is literally the only thing standing between your tissues and constant, relentless cellular injury. Without it, the microscopic world would completely overrun us in just a matter of hours. So yeah, it's the literal shield keeping you alive right this second.
Section 2. The first line of defense, innate or native immunity.
This brings us to our very first layer of protection. You can think of innate immunity as the immediate, inborn moats, walls, and boiling oil of your fortress. It's totally nonspecific, and it maxes out instantly the second an invader shows up. But here's the catch. It has absolutely no lasting memory. It treats every single attack like it's the very first time. Let's walk through the chronological escalation of an invasion. First, a pathogen has to breach your epithelial barriers. That means getting past the physical skin, dodging the mucus traps, and surviving the highly acidic gastric juices in your stomach. And if it somehow gets past all that physical defense, it faces the cellular factors. We're talking about phagocytic cells that basically act like microscopic Pac-Man, just engulfing and destroying the invaders. If tissue actually gets injured, the alarm sounds and inflammation kicks in. Your blood vessels dilate and a literal fibrin wall is laid down right at the infection site to trap it. Finally, if it's a severe breach, you get a systemic response. Your body spikes a fever and acute phase proteins like CRP rush in. So that fever you get when you're sick, that's your fortress doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
But this innate fortress isn't totally invincible. The stakes are incredibly high, and a few things can seriously weaken these first-line defenses. Age is a big one. The system is immature in a fetus and naturally wanes in the elderly. Though, interestingly enough, a highly active mature immune system in an adult can actually cause severe collateral damage sometimes, like the massive overreaction you see with adult chickenpox. Hormones are another factor. Endocrinological disorders like diabetes or the prolonged use of corticosteroids actively depress your host resistance and antibody formation. And of course, nutrition is absolutely crucial. Severe protein deficiencies like kwashiorkor significantly reduce your cell-mediated responses. It fundamentally strips the fortress of its ability to hold the line.
Section 3. The specialized counterattack, acquired or adaptive immunity.
So, what happens when the innate walls are breached and the general guards get overwhelmed? Well, it's time to call in the special forces. Acquired immunity has a bit of a lag time, but what it lacks in speed, it makes up for pathogen-specific, lethal precision. So the crucial point is how this learned system actually operates, and it really comes down to 4 cardinal characteristics. First up is antigen specificity, and this is just mind-blowing. It's so precise it can distinguish differences down to a single amino acid. No joke. Second is diversity. Your body generates recognition molecules to bind to billions, yes, billions of unique structures. Third is immunologic memory. Once it figures out an enemy, it generates a rapid, robust secondary response if it ever sees it again. Perfect memory. And fourth, self-non-self recognition. It strictly targets the foreigners while totally tolerating your body's own molecules, ensuring the special forces never turn on the fortress itself.
Section 4. Active versus passive protection. Pathways of acquired immunity.
Okay, so how do these special forces actually acquire their weapons? They can either make them actively over time or receive them passively, and this brilliantly illustrates the trade-offs between the two. With active immunity, the defense is actively produced by your host immune system. Because you're doing the heavy lifting, there's a lag period to generate it, but the payoff is that it's long-lasting, highly effective, and leaves you with robust memory cells for a secondary response. Passive immunity, on the other hand, is when you receive ready-made antibodies. Your body does none of the work. The huge plus here is immediate protection, zero lag time, but it's short-term, less effective overall, and totally absent of any memory cells. That being said, it is an absolute lifesaver, fully applicable and highly effective for immunodeficient hosts where active production just isn't an option.
Now, we can acquire these immunities naturally or artificially. The natural pathway is pretty straightforward. You either survive a clinical disease, which is natural active, or you receive a mother's milk, or colostrum, which is natural passive. Then you have the artificial pathway, which is where human ingenuity comes in. We artificially trigger active immunity through life-saving breakthroughs like the BCG, Sabin, or Salk vaccines. We're basically training the body's memory safely. Or we can use artificial passive immunity, like administering immune serum for hepatitis, to give someone an immediate, temporary shield when they need it most.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this fascinating outlier called premonition. This is a highly unique type of active immunity we see in things like clinical syphilis. Basically, your resistance to being reinfected only lasts exclusively as long as the original infection remains active inside you. It's wild. The moment the underlying disease is fully cured, your shield drops completely, and you instantly become highly susceptible all over again.
But what if you need both immediate cover and long-term memory? Well, in medicine, we can actually hack the system with combined immunization. Take a tetanus-prone wound, for example. The clock is ticking. Doctors will give you the simultaneous administration of immediate temporary coverage, like tetanus immune globulin, in one arm, and start training your long-term active memory with the tetanus toxoid vaccine in the other. So you're deploying immediate passive troops to hold the line right now, while the active memory finishes its training. It's the ultimate dual defense hack.
Section 5. Protecting the community, local immunity, and herd immunity. Let's move to Talos and see how this builds. From the internal fortress of the individual all the way out to the external world. We've got local immunity on one hand and herd immunity on the other. Local immunity is hyperlocal. It's the mucosal immunity evoked right at your physiological entry sites, like your gut or nasal passages. The main VIP here is secretory immunoglobulin A, or IgA. It's basically the bouncer at the anatomical door. But herd immunity? That's the macro-level alliance. It's the aggregate, overall level of immunity within a distinct population. And this is the strict requirement for regulating epidemic control. You can't eradicate a disease globally without a massive shared shield across the whole community.
So your internal defense playbook is unbelievably complex. From those innate physical barriers to the precision memory of your acquired special forces, your body learns from its battles and never forgets an invader. But our ultimate defense as a species completely relies on that macro-level alliance of herd immunity. So, we're left with this question. Your body never forgets an invader, but what happens to herd immunity when a population forgets to protect itself? Thanks for checking out this explainer, and keep marveling at the incredible science keeping you safe every single day.